The moment your eyes open in the morning, you are at war. Not with the world, not with your schedule, but with something far more dangerous: comfort. That sweet voice that says, just a few more minutes. Start tomorrow. Play it safe. And if you're not ready, if you don't rise with intention, that voice wins, and your dream dies a little more before breakfast. Because here's the truth no one wants to admit. Your morning isn't a time slot. It's a message you send to the universe that says, I'm serious. Or a message that says, I'm still sleeping through my potential. The successful, the relentless, the unstoppable, the legendary, they don't start their day like everyone else. They build it. They don't wake up into chaos. They create clarity because they know one thing the average forgets. Mornings are sacred, and the way you rise will determine how far you go. Habit 1, they master the first thought. Most people wake up and immediately reach for their phone, injecting distraction, comparison, and noise straight into their bloodstream. But not the successful. The successful protect the first thought of the day like it's oxygen, because it is. Your first thought is the rudder of your mind. It decides if you drift or drive, if you spiral or soar. So they wake up and take command, not by accident, but by design. Before the world invades their consciousness, they set the tone with gratitude, with purpose, with fire. Not, I have to, but I get to. Not another day, but another opportunity. Not, let's see what happens, but let's make it happen. And from that one shift, they don't walk into the day, they launch. Habit 2, they dominate the physical. Before emails, before meetings, before decisions, they move. Because the body is not just a vessel, it's a trigger. Motion is the fastest way to summon motivation, to move from sleep to certainty, to transition from dreams to domination. This isn't about having a six-pack. This is about discipline. This is about sweat as a spiritual act. This is about looking the morning in the face and saying, I choose power today. When you push your body, you push your limits. You remind yourself that resistance is not your enemy. It's your training partner. You start your day in victory, and that victory compounds because a body in motion leads a life in momentum. Habit 3, they spend time in silence before they step into noise. The world is loud. Your phone is loud. The news, the timelines, the expectations, all of it screams for your attention. But the successful, they start with stillness, because clarity doesn't shout. It whispers. And if you don't make space for it, you'll miss it. They sit with themselves not to escape, but to listen, to recalibrate, to remember who they are. Prayer, meditation, reflection, breath. Not because it's trendy, but because their inner world must be stronger than the outer one. If you don't control the first voice you hear, the world will decide what you believe. But when you set the frequency, the rest of the day has no choice but to rise to it. Habit 4, they review their vision daily. Successful people don't write their goals once. They read them every morning like scripture. They don't drift through the day hoping to find focus. They anchor their soul in purpose. While the average scrolls aimlessly, they stare into their future. They remind themselves what they're building. They burn the image into their nervous system until it's more real than the room they're standing in. That vision becomes command, and from it comes decisions, direction, and drive. You want to stay on fire? Then stop trying to remember your goals. Reignite them every single morning. Habit 5, they take immediate ownership through action. The successful don't wait to feel ready. They don't ease into the day like it's a warm bath. They attack it. They do something hard first. They do something meaningful now, because they understand the longer you wait, the weaker you become. While the world is still yawning, they're already creating. They're already writing. They're already building the momentum that average people spend all day chasing. And it's not because they're superhuman. It's because they don't ask, do I feel like it? They ask, is it aligned with who I said I would become? They don't negotiate with laziness. They eliminate it, because every excuse is an enemy of their empire. They know discipline before the world wakes up becomes domination after the world starts moving. And so they move, not with speed, but with certainty, not with hustle, but with honor, not with pressure, but with purpose. Because when you move in purpose, even the smallest act becomes sacred. The workout becomes a war cry. The cold shower becomes a declaration. The journal becomes a blueprint. The schedule becomes proof that you are no longer living by default. Now listen closely, because this is the moment you decide what kind of life you're going to build from this day forward. You don't need more time. You don't need better conditions. You don't need the perfect morning routine. You need to become the person who wakes up with fire in their lungs and refuses to waste it. You need to become the kind of soul who gets out of bed with the same intensity most people only find when they're desperate. Because you're not desperate. You're devoted. Devoted to your future. Devoted to your purpose. Devoted to rising while others sleep. To pushing while others pause. To becoming while others wish. The morning is your proving ground. The testing ground. The launching pad. And the moment you stop waking up into chaos and start waking up with command, you stop living reactively and start leading a life that cannot be ignored. You want success? Then win the first battle of the day, and the rest will obey. Let the world sleep. Let the weak wait. But you rise. You build. You own the morning. And in doing so, you own your life.